Today we're going to make edamame cashew stir fry. These are the ingredients that we're going to use today. First we have some bok choy, some edamame beans, onions, red peppers, green onions, cashews, grated carrot, grated ginger, minced garlic, canola oil, and sesame oil. I'm going to serve this with quinoa, so this is also how to make quinoa. Have a pot of boiling salted water, dump in your quinoa. Once you put the quinoa in, you can turn the temperature down to medium. You just want it to simmer until it's cooked. It's similar to pasta. And let it simmer as you're making your stir fry. So I have a hot wok and I'm going to add a few tablespoons of oil and let the oil heat up. Once the wok is hot, you can add your onions and cook them until they soften a bit. It'll take a couple of minutes. This is my little helper. Once the onions have softened a little bit, they'll start to turn translucent, and you can add the carrot. I like to grate my carrot so that it cooks a little bit quicker, but you could just chop it if you don't want to grate it. You can also add the garlic and minced ginger at this point. And just stir it all in until it's well incorporated. Next you can add your red pepper. You can dice it however you want and stir that in so that it starts to cook. Also you want to add a little bit of soy sauce. If you didn't want to use soy sauce, you could use a little bit of vegetable broth or chicken broth. You're also going to add just a little bit of water at this point. You just want enough to allow the vegetables to steam. It doesn't have to be very much. Maybe like 3 or 4 tablespoons at the most. You don't want it too soupy. Scrape it down and stir it around. You can see that it's creating a lot of steam now. That'll help the vegetables to cook nicely. Give that a few minutes. Also going to add our edamame beans. I'm going to add mine now because they're frozen. If you were using fresh edamame beans, you would wait a little bit longer to add them. But because they're frozen, I want to add them right now. And just allow them to sit on the top and thaw out a little bit from the steam that's being created from the vegetables underneath. After a couple minutes, then you can stir the edamame beans in. If you were going to add fresh, you would add them right now. And just stir them around so that everything is getting incorporated. When you're using a wok, it's important to stir everything up from the bottom so you don't end up with something burnt on the bottom, and also to spread it out along the edges of the wok. Okay, we're going to add our bok choy. Now the bok choy is going to cook quite quickly, so you can do the same thing where you just let it steam on the top for a little bit. Just make sure that it's evenly spread out. We'll let that cook for a couple of minutes that way there. And after a couple of minutes, then you can stir the bok choy in. The rest of the vegetables should be nice and soft by now. And the bok choy will cook quickly. You just want to allow the leaves to wilt a little bit. So just, again, make sure you're stirring everything up from the bottom really well so that nothing's sticking to the bottom of the wok. also going to add our green onions now. Again, they cook quite quickly, so just wait till everything is done at the end, and all your other vegetables are well cooked. And the cashews can go in at this point as well. You can add as little or as much cashews as you want, or if you don't like cashews, you could use almonds or peanuts or any other nut that you like. Just make sure that you're using a non-salted nut. You don't need the extra salt in here. There's lots of flavor from the vegetables. I'm just going to have a quick look at my quinoa. It looks like it's done. Perfect timing. So just give it a quick stir, make sure nothing's sticking on the bottom, and then we can take it to the sink and drain it. Just pour it through a sieve or a strainer. It needs to be quite a fine one because the quinoa is quite small. Just tap most of the water out, and then pour it back into your pot. Okay, we're ready to serve here. So we have our quinoa and our stir fry, and I have some cashews for garnishing as well. So you can just take a regular bowl. I have some large bowls here, and I'm just going to put some quinoa on the bottom and spoon over some of our stir fry. And then garnish it with some of the cashews that I have here. Looks good. Ready to eat. I'm hungry. Yummy.